Hey everyone, we are back for another Aeon Zen. Should not move the mouse over there, since I will need this to switch down to the table in a few minutes here. But, before I do that, we of course have the drink of the day. It's just going to be an old-fashioned again. This time I went with a bitters that's a little bit like chocolate, or like a cocoa, and then like a spicy pepper flavor to it. It's a nice little flavor combo that I would say is almost better, I would say, for the winter. It just offers a nice aroma. Definitely has that chocolate notes to it. And it's a good one. A little bit of heat to it. I like it because I can have a fair amount of bitters in there, since the chocolate notes almost bounce out its own sweet into the old fashioned, though this also does have then simple syrup in it as well. Alright, so can we go 5 for 5 in Aeon's End? Legacy, I guess I should say. My record in actual Aeon's End is a little bit worse than that. But let's hit up the story here. No one saw the breach open at the edge of your camp, a dark void hidden against the night sky. No one saw the fog slip out of the breach, creeping slowly towards New Gravehold until it was too late. You wake to shouts of alarm as the camp is enveloped. With every breath, you take in a little more fog. You notice your crystals crackling, susceptible to some poison in the air. A faint figure moves through the gloom, grabbing survivors and draining them of life. You jump back as a twisted breach opens just in front of you. Zaxos rushes out looking panicked. "I made it," he says breathlessly. "I got here in time." Malister rushes over, covering his mouth to the fog. "What is this?" "The nameless are no longer content to wait for us," Zaxos laments. "This one consumes the unprepared. We should have left their breaches open, studied them. We could have taken their power for our own. I just need to..." The fog thickens around Zaxos, and the words become muddled. The nameless has sectioned you off, thinking you easy prey. Alright. The darkest night. And so, this does tell me something about the conclusion. There is no playing this one a second time. We have the Haze Fiend. Ooh, setup. Each player writes their name on the bottom of their crystals. I'll have to see what that means. Coming up here. And also I'll have to find something to write with. Because we do have a few more things to open. We have the Nemesis cards here. One, two, three. Three, two, one. This will be interesting because we do have more evolve cards that are getting ready to go. And then we get Insight Sticker 10, which is probably going to be where it explains some rule here about fractured. So, new rule for setup. Player cards. So basically what this looks like is that we can now get fractured crystals. Degrade a card. So basically the idea of this is that as he gets Nemesis tokens that will start to have our crystals degraded so that they will end up or flawed, so that we can now no longer use them to buy everything. We can use them to buy other crystals, but not necessarily spells. So that's a fun little thing. Like, that's a good little twist on it. Let me do a good little twist on that. And then set those aside. Place that there. Let's get down to the table. So I have the store, character. Alright, so let's read through how the Haze Fiend works. At the end of your any Nemesis turn, which the Haze Fiend has 2 or more Nemesis tokens, it fractures a crystal. So we place a sticker on the crystal. Any player places a flawed sticker on one of their non-flawed crystals in their hand or discard pile and suffers 2 damage. If no player has a non-flawed crystal in their hand or discard pile, place a flawed sticker on a non-flawed crystal in the destroyed pile. The player whose name is on that crystal suffers 2 damage. If no sticker is able to be placed in this way, any player suffers 2 damage. The Haze Fiend loses 2 tokens, and repeat. Flawed crystals will remain throughout the remaining games of Aeon Legacy. When playing a legacy character outside the campaign, use non-flawed. Players must use flawed or non-flawed crystals bearing their name to build their starting deck in all subsequent games. Do not add flawed stickers if there are none left. Do not replay this chapter if you lose. So, whatever happens, we're moving to chapter 6. Let's take a drink for good luck and start with Zolifer. Well, Zolifer was always going to be spending... Yeah, I forgot to almost give him his 2. Forgot a little bit of the setup here. Let's hop over and do the last little bit of the setup. So he has 2. I forgot to give both of them health. Fairly important. And so remember, Aeon has the ability to discard a card to deal damage. And there. So I think that should be everything. I can have 5 purchase total or 6 counting to buy a gem. So I'm going to do the 6 to buy a gem or 2. I'm just buying 1. I'm going to buy this one for 5, the crumbling compound. I'll actually keep... No, I need to spend that one. I'll keep a gem in my hand, just because I might want it next time. Not a great start, but I mean, spark and 3 purchase. I'm going to grab some money. This one allows me to silence a minion or gives me 2 money. Drop that in there. Aeon, so that one has to fire off down to 74. I will move these out of the way slightly for myself. Then I have 3. Which I'm going to use to focus that breach. Call it good. And Zoliver. Well, I guess we know what we have coming up here. 4 purchase power. Getting a branching radite. Zoliver is loaded up with money. Of course, that won't matter too much as we have the Nemesis going twice. So, Gravehold suffers 2 damage and evolve. So flip that. Gravehold will suffer 2 damage. Good thing is he has no shield. Attack. Any player suffers 2 damage and discards a card in hand. If that costs nothing, evolve. So we're actually going to have Aeon discard a card, taking the 2 damage, simply because the one that I discarded with her that one costs 2, just to keep that from evolving anymore. It's still 1 short, but I'm not quite ready to go. But yeah, Gravehold would have suffered 2 damage. And our Ravenous Leviathan would have evolved. So if I remember correctly, this is the first game with this creature. It has already evolved once. Aeon, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 damage. Four damage and 4 purchase power, because that gives me 1. So let's get 4 damage on that guy. Draw the new hand. Alright. Here we go again. Nemesis. 2 damage to Gravehold. Oh, I accidentally did that twice already. He evolves again. I kind of like it that it's on his persistent ability, not just like when he comes into play, automatically evolves. Two damage to Gravehold. The player with most crystals in hand, 3 versus 3, places a flawed sticker on a non-flawed crystal in their hand or discard. So that will be for Zolifer for sure. Why Zolifer for sure? Well, Zolifer place one of these stickers in the top section. Zolifer. So I'm not going to do the name thing on here just because it's annoying to write on these cards. I don't have a good marker for it right now. But for Zolifer, I'll do it this way. I'm going to put it under. And for Aeon, I'm going to put it next to. I still have a lot of purchase power here, thankfully. But of course, it's not actually his turn yet. Well, it is, I guess. Another damage, take him up to 5. So here I have 2, 3, 4. So I can discard and be at 7 here. The reason I want to be at 7 is I can take this branching radite as well as this brain knife, which allows me to get charges and move along better that way. I was really hoping he would have had a spell in his hand, but of course he doesn't. So Zolifer gets to go again. I have 6 purchase power. Gain 2 charges, silence a minion. Costing all 6. Who do we have next? Nemesis. Oof. 2 more damage to Gravehold, down to 22. This is a rougher start than sometimes. Power 3. Gravehold suffers 3 damage. The player with the most expensive spell in hand degrades it. No way to get rid of this. So, remember how degrade works, since I only kind of do. The Nemesis card forces a player to degrade a card. That player must destroy a card that costs 2 Aether or more. Then that player may gain a card of the same type from the supply with a cost less than the cost of the destroyed card and places it into their hand. If a player cannot degrade a card, that player suffers 2 damage. So it's the most expensive spell in hand. If nobody has a 2-cost one, then one of the 2 players will suffer 2 damage. Aeon. Take us up to 6. Oh, I forgot to do evolve. And I actually am going to... I have one of the Soothing Tolterine, which I'm going to use to silence this minion. Otherwise, he will evolve this time. +3 purchase, which is going to get me another Soothing Toberine. Alright, here we go. So, no stream next Monday, but I will be doing another one of these playthroughs on Wednesday. And, oh, Zolifer, of course, nothing. So I have one that I can't use to buy something, and then another 4. So I'm actually going to buy a Crumbling Compound. Place the flawed one immediately after that, just so that I can potentially spend that to just get more money that way. Aeon fires off the last shot we need to take out that guy. So the following Monday, I'm planning on doing a top 10. And I'm thinking that I want to do a top 10 of games that I'm wrong about. So, or games that not necessarily I'm wrong about, but they don't work for me, but they very well might work for you. I think it could be interesting. So, let's get that one into play. Let's do it this way. And 2 purchase gives me, well, I can grab another spell. Just because I think it's going to be interesting to try and figure out, or to come up with reasons why, like, okay, yes, I know this doesn't work for me, but I can understand why people might like it. Power 2, so both of these are going to unleash at the same time. One is Gravehold suffers 3 and degrade spell. The other one is Unleash. Any player suffers 1 damage and discards 2 gems. If both of them cost 0, then we evolve the Aether Extract. Alright, let's see who we have next. Zolifer. Well, I will fire that off. Another damage. Charging Knife. And then player lowest focus cost. Reality Stabilizer. 2 more charges. Yeah, technically both of those are sitting here. And then I will discard this to get myself up to 5 to take the Arcane Salvo. And let's go that way. We're at 5. See what we have here. Aeon. I'm going to leave the her spell here prepped, I believe. Yes. For then 4 damage. Down to 69. Spark. I have 6 purchase, which is kind of what I've been shooting for. To grab an Arcane Salvo. Could keep 1 in hand, but I'm not going to. I'm going to discard all of them just to get a fresh hand. Aeon especially doesn't care that much about the crystals, really need to cycle through stuff fast. So those 2 both lose. Smog Blast, Persistent, Gravehold suffers 1 damage. Any player discards a gem, 7 health. Smog Beast. Don't know what I called it before. Nemesis. Oof. Oof. So let's fire stuff off in order here. Gravehold suffers 3 damage, taking it down to 19. Most expensive spell in hand. We do have a 2-cost spell. 2-cost spell, which means that goes away. There's nothing I can do, like there's nothing cheaper to get. So that card's been taken care of. Unleash. Unleash, he gains 1 Nemesis token. Any player suffers 1 damage and discards 2 cards. Or, yeah, I'm doing it. I'm doing it this time. First time, give it its Evolve sticker. Aeon did that just because works well for her. 1 damage to Gravehold, which is sitting next to me. Any player discards a gem. Zolifer will discard a gem. Zolifer, sitting on 5 money, we're getting another Arcane Salvo. Aeon, 1, 2, 3 damage, plus 1 purchase power, 4, but I'm not going to use the purchase power. I'm going to discard this to do 1 damage for 4 total damage, plus I have a spark in play. Zolifer, of course, not too helpful here. I'm going to discard the fractured crystal. So I have 8 purchase. You know what? I'm going to start. I'm going to grab a brain knife and arcane salvo. We have definitely got the money engine rolling with Zolifer. Maybe a bit too much. Aeon. Fortunately, it's only once a turn. You can discard something, so I'll fire that off, dealing the Smog Beast another damage, taking him up to 5. Arcane Salvo. I have 3 to open a breach. This last one has to be a Nemesis. So, 1 damage on Gravehold. Somebody has to discard money. Zolifer will. And then let's see what we got here. To discard Evolve. However, if we evolve that card, we will actually evolve that card. Which might be worth it to keep the Unleash from happening, but I feel like I say that every time, that like we've had this 2 games and I've never let it go. This actually isn't horrible. I'll probably let it happen. Aeon, need 2 damage to finish him off, so we'll do 3. Take him out. 5 damage coming here, because we really need to start pumping out that damage. And we have 6 purchase power, grabbing the last arcane salvo, discarding 1 to deal 1 damage. Let's see who we have. Aeon. It's very rare for her to have no spells, but I can use this one to open up that breach. 1 to deal a damage. And these might be low damage cards, but they're damage cards. Zolifer, of course, has no spells in play. We'll drop in 2. Brain Knife allows me to gain a charge, which I'm going to spend to heal Aeon for 3, bringing her back up to full. So at least we're not going, right now we're not dying that way. And then I gain 2 charges and silence a minion. Of course, there are no minions, so it's still worth it to gain those 2 charges, because having Zolifer full up on charges is huge. Nemesis, we lose 1. Attack, unleash twice. So Nemesis is happening right now. Gravehold suffers 1 damage for each player turn card in the discard pile. Awesome, so 3 damage. We're down to 14 there. We've only taken care of 13 damage on the nameless Nemesis. On the nameless, which has a name. So, that said, unleash twice. So, any player places a flawed sticker on a gem. Perfect. Zolifer will do it. That player suffers 2 damage. The crystal is discarded. And loses 2. So why did I say perfect for that? Just because Zolifer, of course, has tons of money. Nemesis. So we don't have the ability to even do this. We unleash. Any player suffers 2 damage. Zolifer will this time. Players collectively discard 2 cards. Well, we'll do 1. Two. And then actually we'll do 1 and 2, thinking about it, because we then have to do this unleash effect again from him, for which Zolifer will again be doing it. Why? Because Zolifer has so much money that, like, the fact I can get a crumbling compound turn 1 means I have uses to discard all of these crystals with him. In fact, we'll see as it's Zolifer's turn. Oh yeah, that is gone. That right now, well, we'll fire everything off. Yeah, we'll do 5 damage. We just have to do the damage at this point in time, because there is a lot to deal with. I can drop on Arcane Salvo, and I do have 4 purchase power here because of the crumbling compound. Time to grab another spell. So I actually feel a little bit better now that we don't have anything out for the Nemesis to do, but still, it is a lot. Zolifer, I don't have anything I can get, so 4 more damage to 53. Brain Knife, gain a charge, focus, purchase power of 4 for spells plus 1 other one. I'm going to keep that 1 other one, just in case I get a crumbling compound this time. But I was able to grab a incinerating fist. Nemesis, of course. Spine Harvester. Ugh. You. One health, but then so much shield. And remember, shield needs separate attack for each of them, which isn't terrible, but 1, 2, 3, all the shields are gone. Ariane's just going 1, 2, 3. Emptied out her hand. That doesn't flip yet, mind you. Mind me. Arcane Salvo. So this is why I kept that flawed crystal, because I can still get my 4, 6, 7. Here, let's do Silence Gem and a fist. Zolifer has a huge deck, that is, for all the YouTube people out there. D-E-C-K. Ariane, excellent. I desperately needed that. This is overkill. Oh, I'm not overkilling this. I'm taking all of this damage right on there. 11 damage, get them down to 42. So we're starting to crank out damage with Ariane. I have all these crystals, so I can discard 1 just to do that final damage. And then I still have 5 purchase power, which is more than I actually need to get most things. So I'm going to get Fire Chakram and a Breach Flare. I know that is a ton of spells now in Ariane's deck. Nemesis. Unleashed twice. Player with lowest health suffers 3 damage. 2 power on that one. I might evolve that one just because the Unleashed twice. I don't want to have to potentially get that many flawed crystals. Well, let's look. I mean, nah. I probably won't do it though, because I don't want it to evolve. Nemesis. Or I don't want. So 11, Smoke Guardian. Immediately read card E57. A glowing figure emerges from the dense fog surrounding your battle. Its sharp edges and razor teeth are eerily illuminated by its innate aura, turning into a nightmarish vision. Place this card next to the smoke monster. When it is discarded, read the back of that card. I mean, I am going to try and murder it, so. Ariane, do I want to evolve that card? I mean, I have a couple of seconds to decide here. So I'm going to discard 2, or play 2, to get that, plus this one to silence this minion. I am going to evolve this card. I've made the decision. This card is getting evolved. E44. I don't want to have to deal with it right now. The Breach Mages speak a ritual, a pact that can be made to keep the Nameless away. You will have to pay its price eventually, but for now, you are spared. There is. So that was a tempting offer. Now we have a Dark Bond that gets added. Oh, this is actually great, though. So Dark Bond, it's not going to be going and play this game, but it has an ability to discard where you spend 8. Zolifer multiple times has had 8 to spend, so he should be able to deal with that. Otherwise, its player with lowest life suffers 4 damage, which is a ton. Nemesis, perfect. Nothing happens there. Caustic Larva. This sucks. That is 21 damage I need to pump out between the two of them. Please tell me... I have all the Nemesis in there. Zolifer. Which one's a bigger threat for me? Unleash and Evolve, or downgrade and Gravehold. I don't want to do the Gravehold thing, so 4 damage right there. So I have the ability to gain 3 freaking charges right now, which is amazing. That maxes him out. I'm not going to use him yet because he's only down 2 life at this point. But then it allows him to silence and focus a breach. That is already as focused as it can get. Unfortunately, it's an ally thing, but still that card only costs 3. Plus then I have 4 purchase for money, which I can get this branching radite, which I forgot to read the bottom of this before. I can actually place stuff on top of my pile, so I know I have money sitting right there. Aeon, following Zolifer's lead, we're going to hit for 3 more, taking up to 7. And believe it or not, I have so many spells, I can discard that one just to do a damage. So if I wanted to hit the Nemesis, that right there is 12 damage. And Zolifer is going. So I have 4 that I can spend on a spell, or 5 total I can spend. I'm going to grab another Crumbling Compound. I don't think I'm going to grab any more money for Zolifer after this, but he is loaded up. And so one of the ways, like I said, we can loot, or we can win by clearing out everything that the Nameless has. Like, everything that the Nameless has. But this is the amount of cards they still have left. I don't think... Like, I think we would have to kill him first. I think there's just too many cards for us to have to deal with. Aeon, perfect. So, that is 8. We'll do 3 damage to do that 11. Let's flip this over. The smoke dissipates. You find a discarded dirty object. giving a familiar hum of energy. You scrape off the grind to find a precious gem hidden beneath. The player discarded the Smoke Guardian, gains a gem of the most expensive supply, and returns it to there. And this actually goes back into the deck for Evolve. I think that's more just to keep it sorted, but and kind of ready to play again. But not bad. So I am going to spend. Well, this one has to fire off, but that other 9 damage for sure is coming here. 33 left. And I can actually, like, the order I'd fired these off in would be this, just so that those arcane salvos are closer to what I'm going to be casting. We have a couple spells here. I'm going to discard this to gain 4 there, plus I'll have 3 over here. So with that 4, I'm opening that up, which that means I'm actually moving that there. And I have 3 purchase to grab another one of these. Just getting down to it. Oh, wait. I did 9 damage there? I'm going to pull that back. I'll actually stay at 42, so I can have done the 9 damage here. Which means 1 left. Remove that. Plus, you need to spend 7 to discard Tremor. Unleash twice. Gravehold suffers 4 damage. And then if Gravehold has more than 13 life, which it won't, we'd evolve that card. But I prefer not to unleash twice. So let's see what we have next. 2 power on that one. Aeon. Set it's at 9. We'll hit there, dealing 2 damage, taking out this caustic larva, and then 2 damage now officially to the Nemesis. And I have only money, so 4 for sure, 2. I'm getting a. I'm going to start bumping her ability. So I got an Incinerating Fist plus got her ability going because her ability casts a spell for +1 without actually spending that spell. So that's really good for an Arcane Salvo, which Zolifer has several. Zolifer, do you have 7 money? No. I'm not going to. I'm going to fire off 5 damage. And Zolifer actually only has two money, which I'll use to get a fire chakra. Of course, all of Zolifer's spells are right next to each other. Zolifer, do you have... I'm not going to again. Wow. So 4... 10 damage. I mean, I will not complain about 10 damage. Let's put it that way. So I need 7 money. But I only have 5. 4 of which can be used to buy a spell. So I'm going to buy a spell. For 3. I'm going to hold on to this crystal. And the other crystal I didn't spend. And that means this last one's the Nemesis. Ooh, you suck. So 2 shields and 7 health. So that's 2 attacks plus then an additional 7 health. And we don't have our little sparks prepped to take care of those shields. Zolifer. Alright. Zolifer, give me something good. Alright. Well, first off, I will spend this to take off a shield. It's not ideal. I'm going to spend that. 4, 5, 6, 7. Take care of that, please. And then I have this Soothing Tuperine, which I don't need to spend my 2 on, which means I can go Silence. Get this sorted into the order I want. No prep spells, of course. Aeon. What do we have? Million spells. So discard 1 for damage. Not bad. Zolifer. Of course, no spells from him. And 2 cards that are worthless right now. You know what? I'm going to heal him up the rest of the way. Why? Because I have cards that will give me 3 charges back. So even though I only got 2 there, it's probably still worth it. And then I have 2 purchase, which means I guess another charge. No. 2 purchase, not another charge. Doing a fire shock him. He needs more spells in his library. Nemesis. Lose that. Attack. Unleash twice. Zolifer suffers 3 damage. So that means... Well, I'm not going to put the tokens on there, because we know what that means. Somebody has to get something on a crystal. It's going to be Zolifer again. Because why not? I feel like, as much as I'm pretty sure this is somehow Zaxos' fault, I blame Zolifer. He seems like he just likes his crystals too much, and maybe the Nemesis are after the crystals. So, seems like it could be his fault. I'm trying to go fairly fast today, just because I have not seen What If yet, and that is happening the second this stream is done. I'm not going to do cleanup. I'm not going to be recording tonight a 3 Reasons Buy Not Buy. Maybe we'll do one of those tomorrow night and get that up on the channel. But let's continue. Aeon. Okay. We just need 7 damage. So this, and this. Deal 7 plus then 4. There. We've successfully avoided the Humming Hive. Plus now we have... I'm going to discard this to get a purchase power of 4, which is just going to turn into... No, I'm going to take that brain knife. Why? Because now she's going to be able to start focusing Zolifer's stuff. I mean, it's not like Zolifer couldn't just straight up open it, but we've been... Yeah, I need to start opening his breaches for sure. Nemesis. Any player places a flawed sticker on a non-flawed crystal in their hand or discard pile. A different player degrades a card in hand and suffers 2 damage. This is interesting because the only person who can do this flaw, well, I guess they're in here, but I don't want to give all of his stuff flaws immediately. So, first one for Aeon. And there's actually a strategic reason for this too. Yes, Zolifer will suffer 2 damage, taking him down a ways. But he should be able, most likely, I would think. How does that read, actually? Doesn't say discard that card. Zolifer suffers 2 damage, but his hand has 0 in way of spells. That means he can... Oh, no. He can degrade this crumbling compound to get... I'm going to take a branching radite. Let's see what we have here. We have to be getting close to 3 difficulty Nemesis things at this point. Not Nemesis. Alright, Aeon. So that's 4, 5, 6, 7 damage. Because +1 for that last breach. Focus breach 3. Down to 14. I might have missed that +1 damage last time, but so be it. I don't remember who took that damage. It might have been the creature anyways. Boom, boom, boom. 2 purchase power for a spell, or 3 for not a spell. Brain knife. Again. We are getting so close. Zolifer. 4 damage, down to the last 10 health on this Nemesis. Can we do it? Zolifer, of course, has no spells to put into play, but we can get 1, 2... Only 2 of those tokens. We're going to keep his Reichsriches in hand. Nemesis. Rune Poisoner. When a player deals damage to this minion, that player degrades a card in hand. Persistent, Gravehold takes 7 damage. Or 3 damage. 3 damage. If that was 7 damage, I would have to kill that. I'm going to try to not kill him. Because I don't want to degrade card... Well, it doesn't matter too much at this point. And... I mean, this will be iffy. Zolifer, nothing. We do have 2 spells to drop in. Which means I have up to 5 purchase power plus a brain charge. Which means... we heal up 3. Takes him out of, I think, like level 3, just straight up kill zones. And here, I mean, we have 5. I'm grabbing another crumbling compound. It's not necessarily the best play, but Aeon. So that is 8 damage. We're down to the last 2. I mean, that's Nemesis card. I'm going to discard a card to deal 1 damage, just in case Aeon comes back, because she has no spells right now. I'm going to use the Soothing Toperine, plus 3 purchase power, to grab that Breach Flare, drop it on there, and it won't matter. This game, it really is in the bag at this point. Like, we can kill this Nemesis before it will be able to take us out, most likely. I just want to avoid as much as possible, like getting this thing fired off again. The Gathering Storm, unleashed twice. If there are 2 Nemesis turn cards in the discard pile, any player suffers 4 damage, otherwise evolve. Well, it's going to suffer 4 damage, which is nice because it means we won't evolve, but I really hope I don't draw back-to-back Nemesis cards. That would have gone last time. So that means 3 damage to Gravehold. That comes off. Aeon. Oh no, I don't have any spells. I discard a card to deal 1 damage, taking out the Nemesis. Nemesis is at 0 health and 1 hour and 2 minutes. Not bad. As you strike your final blow against Haze Fiend, a painful scream reverberates through the air. In a flash, the haze is gone. The torches flicker back to life, lighting the camp. There is no sign of the fog, nor the shadow you saw moving within. Only the fallen remain. Despite the horror, the survivors begin to move the bodies and seek out missing loved ones. As you survey the wreckage and help coordinate efforts, you feel a renewed sense of purpose. This time you are barely able to stop the Haze Fiend before it devoured the whole camp. The Nameless must be destroyed at all costs. Read the back of L37. I beg you, Brahma, Zaxos pleads as the mages begin to close the breach. Channeling the Nameless breach is forbidden. We will not repeat your mistakes, she chides. We need the power within the when Maelstrom returns. Zaxos argues. Ever practical, Malistar continues your instruction while they argue. Open Insight 11. Rulebook. Where did I put the rulebook? Here we go. There are going to be 20 pulse tokens. Whatever those are. Pulse tokens used when with certain player cards. Each player may not have any more than 5 pulse tokens at any time. Any pulse token gained beyond 5 are lost. Pulse tokens are carried over from turn to turn. When the game ends, players discard all their pulse tokens. So I wonder if it's a way to potentially activate these better, because now we have an additional ability here for the unlocks at the end of Chapter 5. So, well, Zolifer, I'm not even going to bother reading. The rest of these, I will read them for Aeon, and Gravehold gains 2 life. So he is our healer. Any player gains 3, Gravehold gains 2. Aeon has cast any player's prep spell without discarding it. That spell costs an additional 1. Oh man, like I don't use her ability that much, even though it's very good in the fact it deals +1 damage. I just haven't used it that much yet. So I could do reveal the top 3 cards of the Nemesis deck and put them back in any order. That's okay, I don't feel like I need that right now. Reveal the turn order deck and return the revealed cards in any order. That is nice. You can set up potentially either the Nemesis going right away and then having a whole bunch of turns in a row to deal with whatever comes up, or vice versa. Any player returns a spell in their discard pile to their hand. That is very solid. Any ally gains 2 charges. That's not bad at all. Zaxos, though, or not Zaxos, Zolifer gains a lot of charges, as is. If you have 4 or less life, gain 2 life. Haven't had it that low. You deal 3 damage to a minion. That wouldn't be bad. It's extra 3 damage. Or you focus any player's breach twice. Now, Zolifer never did get any breaches opened. I'm going to do the 3 damage. That makes... I mean, it's any player, so she can fake cast her own spell, plus then an additional 3 damage. That could be great for her. It's a lot of damage. She is our damage dealer. There's no doubt about that. Front of L38. Your instructions are interrupted by an explosion of electricity, which knocks everyone down. Before Brahma can punish Zaxos for his audacity, he is gone. The burst of energy changed you instinctively. You now understand how to convert your raw pulse energy into magical power. Last box. $20 pulse tokens. So 7, 7, and 4. Reel the best of Stop 5 deck. These are supply upgrades. And that will be it. So let me finish punching that and let's look at our supply upgrades to see potentially what we're changing out. Arcane Salvo is very powerful in that it punches for a lot, but I could see swapping that out. So drop those cards to the ground. Conductive Grit. Gain 2 and a pulse token, or lose a pulse token and gain 3. So that would swap out with the Soothing Toperine. However, we've been using, I used that silence a lot this game. Let me bring you back here. For 4 cost, we have the Voltic Relay. Any player gains 3 pulse tokens. That player may lose 1 pulse token. If they do, destroy a card in hand. Thinning deck is solid, but I haven't had massive issues. Infernal Mirror. Any ally gains a charge token, so Zoliford, but I like my silence. I could have used this to pump up Aeon's charges, plus any player gains 2 pulse tokens. You may lose 2 pulse tokens. If you do cast any player's prep spell, that deals an additional damage. And Breach Communion. While prepped, once during your turn, main phase, gain a pulse token. Deal 2 damage. You may lose 2 pulse tokens. If you do, deal an additional 3 damage. I feel like pulse... all of these are pulse. So, the question I'm asking myself is, okay, are they setting up pulse so strongly because the next character, who don't know who they are, show off this Strength of the Mind, which is thicker. There's more in here than just the Nemesis token sheet and the little divider. It feels like. Should I do the Conductive Grit to be gaining those pulse tokens, and then maybe the Infernal Mirror instead of the silence stuff? I think I'm going to. I'm swapping them out. We're adding in Conductive Grit and the Infernal Mirror. I'm not doing the Voltic Relay. That one is just okay. I just don't thin my decks that much. And the Breach Communion sounds great, but you need ways to gain pulse. Basically, that's what it is. And if you have a lot of pulse, then that's a better card. But I want to use my pulse just be casting spells at random or gaining that additional boost in money to be able to then take care of some of these cards like Gathering Storm, which would be bad if they're unleashed upon us. So, with that, I'm going to wrap up for this episode. Thank you so much for joining me. As you can see, this one took a little bit longer. That was a tough bad guy. I'm curious to look here. Oh, we were right on to 3. When that... Oh, we'd seen 1 3 card. Haze Fiend. I'm just curious their abilities. Power 1. The player with the most cards in their discard pile places all cards that cost 0 in their discard pile on top of their deck in any order, and Gravehold suffers 1 damage for each card. Oof, that sucks. The Toxic Breath. Gravehold suffers 2. The player with the most expensive card in hand destroys that card. Ouch. And Unleash. Gravehold suffers 3 damage. The player with the most cards in hand that cost 2 or more degrades all those. Oof. Yeah, I'm glad we did not hit those level 3 cards. Like I was saying, thank you all so much for watching. I hope that this has been fun to continue to see more of Aeon Zen Legacy. Like I said, on Wednesday, this upcoming week, 8 p.m. Central, back to the normal time, we will be playing Chapter 6. And that's going to be fun. Going to be curious to see how that goes. I feel like eventually we're going to be facing off against that very first creature that we didn't really beat. Again, probably in Chapter 7. So, hopefully, we can knock this out, continue our winning streak, like I said, for the 3rd time now. Thank you for watching. There is information down below in the description. I post articles regularly over on nerdologist.com. By regularly, I mean every weekday, at least one. I want to say on average, every week has 8 or 9 articles that are posted. And there's also information for the 10-Minute Marvel podcast. You can find that in a number of spots, as well as Patreon. Patreon is going to go to help improve the quality of this channel, as well as those other 2 things, the podcast and the website. You can see that this webcam apparently is already on the fritz, though I need to figure out if that is the webcam or just the connection, since I do have a USB extender on this. But with that, I'd say bottoms up. I'm probably going to get a little bit more in this glass to drink as I watch What If. So if you want to hear about What If, check out the podcast. But